You see, the great cosmic joke is that we've been trying to fix a self that was never broken. We've been searching for medicine to cure a disease that exists only in thought. From the moment you were born, you were taught that something was wrong with you, that you were separate, incomplete, that life was a problem to be solved rather than a mystery to be lived. And so you began the endless project of self-improvement, of patching the leaks in a boat that was never sinking. But what if the cracks are only drawn in chalk? What if all the wounds you spend your life tending to are nothing more than lines in a dream, imagined by the very mind that wants to heal them? When you stop trying to be whole, you realize you already are. When you stop polishing the mirror, the reflection shines by itself. Most of us treat life as a hospital, full of broken souls waiting for discharge. We think the purpose of existence is recovery. Recovery from fear, from failure, from imperfection. We carry this invisible clipboard, ticking boxes for better habits, positive thinking, spiritual growth. But have you ever noticed that the more you try to be good, the less natural goodness feels? The more you chase peace, the more restless you become. That is because healing, as we imagine it, is resistance disguised as virtue. It is the ego dressing up as the doctor, hoping to cure itself. Imagine an ocean worrying that its waves are too messy, spending its life smoothing the water's surface. That is humanity, anxious ripples trying to control the sea. But there was never any sickness there, only movement, only the play of form. The sense of, I am unwell, I am damaged, I must repair myself, is one of the cleverest tricks the mind ever invented. It keeps you busy polishing the doorknob while never walking through the door. It gives you something to do, therapy, meditation, affirmation, so you never see that there was never anyone to fix. Now, don't misunderstand me. I'm not saying stop living, stop learning, or stop feeling pain. The body gets wounded, the heart breaks, the mind clouds. But the true self beneath all that, the awareness of it, was never touched. You can't bruise the sky with smoke. You can't cut the ocean with a knife. The tragedy is not that we suffer. The tragedy is that we think our suffering makes us defective. Pain is a song. You were meant to hear it, not erase it. When you weep, it's not proof that you're sick. It's proof that you're alive. You see, the word heal comes from the same root as whole. And wholeness isn't something you earn. It's what you began with. The problem is not the pain. It's the belief that pain shouldn't be there. The rain falls, the thunder cracks, and the mind says, oh, this must be fixed. But life never promised you constant sunshine. It promised you change. And in resisting change, you create the illusion of illness. There's a story I like to tell. A man dreams he's fallen into a deep pit. He struggles, scratches, prays for rescue. He imagines the top far above, light pouring down, and he climbs and falls, climbs and falls. At last, in exhaustion, he sits. He closes his eyes. And when he opens them again, he realizes there was no pit. There was never even ground beneath him, only the dreaming mind. You see, all his effort to escape was effort to stay asleep. Likewise, your search for healing keeps the illusion of a wound alive. The more you say, I must become whole, the more you confess, I am not. Healing begins the moment you drop the idea of healing. The moment you see that there is no patient, no doctor, no cure, just this eternal dance of being. Because what are you trying to heal from exactly? From being human? From feeling too deeply? From making mistakes? From living in a world that doesn't follow your script? You call that sickness, but it's just the universe expressing itself in a slightly uncomfortable way. The tree doesn't apologize for shedding its leaves. The clouds don't go to therapy for raining too much. Only humans think their nature is wrong. And yet, even that is part of the beauty, the divine comedy of consciousness pretending to be broken, just so it can enjoy the relief of discovering it never was. The universe is playing hide and seek with itself. It hides as your confusion and reveals itself as your awakening, and then it laughs, because it was you all along. So when you ask, how do I heal? The answer is, you don't. You simply wake up from the dream that you were ever unwell. Let the river flow through every part of you. Don't dam it up with should and shouldn't. Don't make peace a project. Don't make joy a goal. Be still, watch the current move. Notice that even your resistance is part of its rhythm. There's nothing to clean, nothing to fix, nothing to achieve. Only this, the sound of life happening exactly as it must. When you realize that, something extraordinary occurs. You laugh. A quiet, uncontrollable laugh that feels like wind through the trees. Because suddenly it's all so obvious. The cure was the sickness, the search was the hiding, the healing was the game. And once you see the game, you can play it freely. You can still go to the doctor, still meditate, still write your journal. But now you know you're not repairing yourself. You're simply dancing with life's constant motion. The greatest healing, you see, is realizing there is nothing to heal. When you look closely, you'll notice that the idea of healing depends entirely on time. It assumes there was once a better version of you, then a fall, and now a return. But what if that timeline is fiction? The mind loves stories of progress. I was once wounded, now I'm becoming whole. It gives us comfort, direction, a sense of purpose. Yet beneath that narrative, nothing is actually moving. The sky has never changed, only the clouds have drifted. You've been the same awareness through joy and sorrow, success and failure, love and loss. The same witnessing presence, unchanged by the play of experience. You cannot improve awareness. You can only notice it. And once you notice it, the endless project of becoming collapses. The self that seeks healing dissolves into the simple fact of being. No more self-improvement, no more striving, just the soft hum of existence. But the ego doesn't like that. The ego survives on movement. It's like a shark. It must swim or die. So it invents new goals, enlightenment, detachment, emotional mastery. It even turns spirituality into a competition. You meditate and the mind whispers, "Am I doing it right?" You feel sadness and the ego says, "I must not be healed yet." You glimpse peace and it says, "Hold on to that, make it last." But you can't trap the wind in a jar, and every attempt to hold peace kills it. Real peace, the kind that doesn't come and go, is not achieved. It's uncovered. It's what remains when you stop arguing with what is. Healing is not a task, it's a recognition. The same way a mirror doesn't need polishing to reflect light, your being doesn't need fixing to be whole. You were told from childhood that life is a test, that you must improve, succeed, evolve. But the universe doesn't grade you, it simply unfolds like music. Think of a symphony. It doesn't rush to its final note. Each moment is complete. No part of the melody is inferior. Even the dissonance belongs. Likewise, your sadness, your confusion, your weariness, all are notes in the grand composition. The song of being cannot be out of tune. Now, someone might ask, "But Alan, are you saying we shouldn't heal trauma or work on ourselves?" Not at all. I'm saying that the truest healing happens naturally when you stop identifying with the one who is broken. You can go to therapy, take medicine, learn and grow, but let it happen as play, not as penance. Don't approach healing as a battle. Approach it as gardening. The gardener doesn't yell at the flowers to grow. He simply creates the conditions, sunlight, water, soil, and allows life to do what it's always done. In the same way, when you allow awareness, acceptance, and compassion, the psyche rearranges itself effortlessly. You don't need to fix your mind. You just need to stop fighting it. The greatest relief comes when you stop treating yourself like an enemy. Most of our suffering is self-war, the mind attacking the mind. We fight our thoughts, our memories, our emotions as if they were intruders. But what you call your darkness is simply unaccepted light. It's like hating your reflection because the mirror shows a shadow. But even shadows prove that light is near. You see, when you stop trying to heal, you don't become careless or numb. Quite the opposite, you become profoundly alive. The walls you built around pain dissolve, and suddenly even sorrow tastes like freedom. The rain feels like washing, the tears feel like returning home. To heal, in the truest sense, is to see that nothing was ever outside the whole, that every experience was part of the perfection you kept denying. The storm was not an interruption of peace, it was peace, expressing itself noisily. Look at nature. It doesn't apologize for its chaos. The forest burns and blooms, the ocean rages and rests, and through it all there is no guilt, no shame, no sense of failure. Life does not need your permission to be whole. And so the invitation is simple. Stop trying to be spiritual or wise or healed. Be here, right here where you already are. When you no longer resist your own unfolding, life heals itself, not because it was broken, but because resistance was the only wound. It's funny, really. You spend your life trying to become what you already are, and when you stop, when you finally let go, you laugh, because the thing you were chasing was never ahead of you. It was the ground beneath your feet. That laughter, that sudden lightness, is the moment of awakening. It's not mystical, it's ordinary, utterly ordinary. The moment you realize there's no separate you who must be repaired, the illusion of separation collapses, and with it, the whole drama of healing disappears. What remains is silence. Not empty silence, but alive, shimmering stillness. The same silence that hums in the stars, that moves the tides, that beats your heart without asking for instruction. You are that, and that has never been sick. There's a peculiar comfort that comes when you finally stop running from yourself. It's as if life exhales through you for the first time. You no longer need to be the manager of your own existence, constantly checking, adjusting, diagnosing. You can finally allow life to be life. It's a strange thing to say, but the moment you stop trying to heal, you begin to live as the healing itself. You become the effortless balance that has always existed beneath the surface of striving. The body may ache, the mind may tremble, the heart may remember its wounds, but awareness remains untouched. You are the sky, not the weather. Now, the sky never fights the clouds. It doesn't scold them for being gray or loud or full of lightning. It simply holds them. It allows them to come and go because it knows they were never separate from it. And that's what you are, the vast allowance of being within which all things arise and pass. Once you know this, all talk of healing becomes like a children's game. It's not wrong, it's simply unnecessary. You can still play, of course. You can go on improving your body, learning your lessons, refining your art, but it's no longer a desperate attempt to become complete. It's a celebration of the completeness that already is. When you understand this, you begin to see that the so-called journey of healing was never a road leading somewhere. It was a circle, and you were always standing in the center, thinking you were lost. You can laugh about it now, that grand adventure full of retreats and rituals and endless self-work, all just ways of remembering what was never forgotten. Because the truth is, you can't add to the infinite. You can't purify what is already pure. And here's the paradox. The moment you stop trying to heal, you become capable of real healing. Not because you did something, but because you stopped standing in the way. Like a muddy pond that clears when left alone, the mind returns to stillness by itself. You were the stick stirring up the sediment all along. So let it rest, let yourself be. Notice how silence begins to heal everything you thought needed fixing. When people say, "I want to be healed," what they often mean is, "I want to feel safe enough to stop resisting." That safety doesn't come from control. It comes from trust, from knowing that life in its mysterious intelligence has never made a mistake with you. Even your confusion, your failures, your heartbreaks, all of them were part of the unfolding, like waves forming patterns in the tide. There was never an error, only movement. You see, the universe doesn't operate on human ideas of right and wrong. It dances on balance and rhythm. It creates and destroys, breathes in and out. It burns stars and grows flowers, often in the same breath. And it does not apologize for the contrast. Likewise, the human experience includes both suffering and joy, both loss and love. You cannot amputate half of existence and call it healing. You can only open your arms wide enough to hold both, and then suddenly, nothing hurts in the same way anymore. Pain continues, but the you who owns it disappears. Suffering transforms into sensation, movement, vibration, change. What you called sickness was only life happening faster than your mind could accept. So stop diagnosing your divinity. Stop pretending you're broken just because you're alive. Your cracks aren't flaws, they're windows. Light enters through them. I once said that to understand yourself is to unlearn everything you've been told about who you should be. And perhaps this is what real healing means, not the mending of wounds, but the dropping of illusions. You see, the world doesn't need to be perfect for you to feel whole. You simply need to stop insisting that it should be different. When you accept life as it is, something miraculous happens. It softens. It ceases to be your enemy. And in that surrender, there is an intelligence that begins to move through you, the same intelligence that grows trees and paints sunsets and spins galaxies. You start to see that everything is already taking care of itself. The heart beats, the lungs breathe, the stars burn, all without your permission. Why should healing be any different if it's already happening, not as something you do, but as what you are? The universe is not a machine in need of repair. It is an organism in perpetual transformation. And you are that organism, so let yourself change. Let yourself ache, love, forget, remember. That's not brokenness, that's rhythm. The wave doesn't apologize for rising or falling. It doesn't rush to reach the shore. It knows that its rise and fall are the same motion, the same dance. When you realize this, you stop trying to escape the low tide. You simply ride it, trusting it will carry you back again. This is the wisdom hidden behind all healing. Not a cure, but a surrender. Not control, but communion. You are not the patient, you are the pulse. So, my friends, stop trying so hard to mend what was never torn. Stop making an identity out of your pain. Stop worshipping the illusion of better. There is no healed version of you waiting in the future. There is only this breath, this heartbeat, this moment of aliveness. When you rest here, when you no longer demand that life behave, something profound happens. You realize that what you were calling sickness was actually the very force of life trying to wake you up. And now that you're awake, you see the whole world is perfectly whole, even in its chaos and even in its noise, even in you. So breathe. Let the current carry you. Let healing be another word for being alive. Because in the end, there was never anything to fix. There was only something to remember. You were never sick. You were only dreaming that you were.